Brent Hubbs, VolQuest.com, with Austin Price of VolQuest.com, who's on Tennessee's campus covering the Volunteers practice today as Tennessee goes back to the practice field following Saturday's open practice and last Thursday's scrimmage. Big scrimmage coming up on Saturday, Austin. So the question is, who's Tennessee going to have for this scrimmage on Saturday right now? Are they getting anybody back, getting anybody closer? We saw some guys being held out of practice on Saturday.
Well, Brent, I thought that they at least took a step closer to getting some guys back today. Tyon Evans was back doing things. Jalin Hyatt was back running routes. Is he fully back? No, but he's much closer now than he was a week ago. You look around and you see some other guys back like Alontae Taylor, Tyler Barron. Tyler was, kind of went through some individual stuff the other day and then, was out for all the team stuff. So I think he probably would scrimmage Saturday if things continue in the right direction. But I think for Tennessee, more than anything, getting Alontae Taylor back, Brent, and then also getting back a guy like Jalin Hyatt definitely helps things.
No question. And this typically is the biggest scrimmage of the spring coming up on Saturday. No offense to the orange and white game, which everybody wants to watch. This is the one the coaches pay the most attention to. You mentioned Jalin Hyatt being back. With him being out, Austin, it has meant more time for some young receivers. You've talked about Callaway. You've talked about Holiday stepping up. Anybody else emerging in that wide receiver group?
Well, two midterm enrollees, Anderson Kobe and Walker Merrill. Walker missed the first part of spring ball, had to miss some time, but he was back and has continued to see more and more run, whether it be in scrimmage play, like last Thursday when he caught some key passes in the first scrimmage of spring, or even today out there at practice. He was second in line in the slot. Really involved, getting a lot of coaching from Cody Burns. And then Anderson Kobe continues to flash when the media is not present. And honestly, I thought caught the ball today as well as he's caught it all spring in individual periods when we've been allowed to be there.
He's an interesting story for sure in terms of how he landed at Tennessee in the midst of all the turmoil and all the changes that were taking place. Defensively on Saturday, Austin, let's face it, it was a struggle for that unit, particularly in the front seven. They had a hard time stopping the run. Where do we think this defense is? What was the early focus for this defense today as you got a chance to view a couple of periods?
Well, it was on turnover circuits, Brent, and they were going, really drill to drill. Working on either strip sacks, scooping scores, or interceptions. And that's something that they were really focused on today. Willie Martinez even working with the defensive line at one point on catching balls that are thrown, in the vicinity of them. So that's something that Tennessee was emphasizing on this Tuesday, was taking advantage of, turnovers and being able to find points off turnovers, something that could help Tennessee, especially the defense this fall, if they're able to be decent in that area.
Well, certainly opportunistic is what this defense is going to have to be, because you don't think they're building a stone wall and shutting people down from moving up and down the field. So opportunistic is obviously going to be a focal point for this defense, as well as winning in the red zone. And finally, Austin, we ask about it every day because everybody wants to know the quarterbacks. There was so much talk Saturday about the quarterbacks, about this guy made a play, he should be the number one, or this guy looks like this, or this guy looks like that. It feels like they're trying to split the reps pretty evenly, and that nobody's really separating themselves, or at least that's what I feel like. What do you think upon talking to people and viewing practice today where the quarterbacks are?
Well, I think you're right. They are, rotating them. Like today, Brian Maurer was working with ones, much like on Saturday it was Hendon Hooker, and on Thursday the first person in the scrimmage was Harrison Bailey. So they are rotating. I thought all three kind of were like they have been all spring. Showed some solid play. There were a couple of errant throws, nothing crazy. I thought they probably threw it as well as a unit today as they've thrown it again while we're there, which is a small sample size. So, if you're Josh Heupel, you want to keep that group focused, and hopefully they can finish strong for the rest of spring practice, and then kind of figure out where you are from there.
Tennessee will have Rodney Garner and Glenn Ellerbe meet the media after practice today. Austin, any final notes as we await on their meeting with the media as practice finishes up later this afternoon?
No, we'll be interested to see what Coach Ellerbe has to say about the offensive line and how they're attacking things. Dane Davis today, again, getting work at the one left tackle spot while Media was present. Cade Mays getting the work at right tackle, which means Darnell Wright was kind of positioned in that 2 hole. What does it mean? I don't know. I think that's something that I think we're a long ways away from knowing exactly what they want out of this offensive line. I maintain that they're, force feeding Dane Davis to see what they can get out of him, to see if they need to attack that position in the transfer portal, if any quality tackles are available.
He's Austin Price on Tennessee's campus as the Volunteers practice on this Tuesday. They'll practice on Thursday, scrimmage on Saturday. Full coverage on the site with notes, full coverage of assistant coaches' interviews as well, and plenty of other coverage coming up in the next 24 hours as Tennessee's spring practice continues. I'm Brent Hubbs, VolQuest.com.